All right, cool. What up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Business of DJing. It's your host, Jamie Selects. Thank you for tuning in again. Today, I have an awesome guest coming at you from the Bay Area. I want to give it up to my boy, Baywav. Welcome.
Yo, thank you so much, man, for having me. I appreciate it.
Not a problem, man. Been watching you on socials for a while, and so excited to get you on and kind of talk about what you got going on in your DJ business. But
Mhm.
before we kick it off, we could just give a quick little intro about yourself, maybe where you're from, and kind of how you came to find DJing in your life, and then we can go from there.
Yeah, for sure. So I was born and raised in the Bay Area from Oakland. I pretty much stayed in the Bay Area my whole life because when I went to college, I went to UC Berkeley, and so I was always nearby in the Bay Area. And I would say that's really where I got my start there in college. I kind of started DJing as like a side hobby, just picked up a controller one day. And since high school, like my high school was had a lot of music and like DJ influences. Like I had some big DJs that went to my high school, and we would always have performances from like Too Short and like E40 and like guys like that. So I was always around the culture, like hip hop culture. And so that's kind of what got me into getting my first controller. But then in college, I ended up doing a party just super randomly, like super unexpected. And then after that night, like a bunch of other organizations that were present that night, like started reaching out for my contact information, and it literally just goes from there. Really, when I started in college, I would say is where my journey began. But I'd never had anyone in my family that was a DJ before, or didn't know anyone that was a DJ. So it's all kind of just me falling into the world and just falling in love with music and the art form. And so I just quick about me. I before I used to go by DJ Gibran, which was my real name, and then after the pandemic, I decided to rebrand to Baywav, and that's kind of really where I feel like a lot of it really took off for me in the Bay Area. And so yeah, I can kind of dive a little deeper as we go on to the questions about that process and what that journey was like.
Cool, man. Sounds good. So just as you're kicking off here, I always like to try to touch on the transition from kind of bedroom DJ, as we call it, to like your
Yeah.
kind of professional. And so, as you were just getting started, especially with not having sounds like necessarily anybody in your direct network as like a teacher, how did you go to start about practicing? How did you approach kind of going from like just playing around to like doing it more systematically and getting to a place where you felt comfortable playing gigs live?
Yeah, for sure. Honestly, it was all most of it self-taught, just going on YouTube, trying to find as many videos as I could on the things that I was trying to accomplish. And it wasn't really until I signed up for my first DJ battle. For those from the Bay Area, there's a battle called No Requests. And so I signed up for the first one, and I was completely, I didn't know anything about turntablism. Like I had never even touched turntables before, but I somehow decided to sign up still. Um, and that was like a very humbling experience for me because I did the work required to kind of get prepared for that. Like
Mm-hmm.
was like self-teaching myself. I did have a friend in college. His name was Olea, who now he works very closely with Selection. He had a turntable and a mixer that he would kind of come over sometimes that we'd mess around with, but he kind of gave me some pointers here and there. So I feel like that was my earliest introduction to that. But he also wasn't super technically skilled, so we kind of just were messing around half the time. But a lot of it, yeah, was self-taught. And then it wasn't until I got into that point of getting into that battle that I realized that like this is something that I really enjoy doing, but I knew that I had to get better at it because being against competitors like Sean Looney and DJ Mike Cool, who had been in the industry for some time now and had the experience, like it just I realized that I wasn't as prepared as I wanted to be. So that just really motivated me to continue working, continue grinding. And so for the next 2 3 years, I ended up just learning as much as I could online, and then putting my videos online so that people can get, I can get feedback from them. And the response was always really great. Which actually is funny because now my content is not really oriented around like my performance. Like I don't really put out routine videos anymore, which I kind of do want to go back to because that was when I was first was coming up. I originated doing a lot of routine videos, but but yeah. So I would say really, I guess my first big break that really allowed me to have success in the industry was when I went to Pappy's, which I know we're gonna talk about in a bit. Which that was really the first opportunity that I received to um not be just a DJ, but also be a booking manager and just open like many more doors for me. So I don't know if you want to save that for
Yes.
later. You want to.
No, we can get into it. So yeah, how did you go about like getting the residency to begin with? Had you done other gigs, and had you like gone to that venue just to pull up there as like a attendee, or talk about the process of like locking in the residency?
Yeah, so it was actually quite crazy. So there in Berkeley, there's two local nightclubs slash bars. There's Kips and then there's Pappy's. So originally I had gone to Kips and I was a resident there. It was like Tuesday nights. I was getting, paid very minimally, but I had a large crowd that I was able to bring from Berkeley, from the students that I knew. So I ended up really popularizing their Tuesday nights. And after that happened, Pappy's, which was across the street, was actually shut down at the time.
Right.
And so one of my friends, Jose, that was a resident with me at Kips, he went over to Pappy's and was like, "Hey, like I see you guys are opening back up. Like, do you guys, want some DJs?" And so they ended up giving us a night, me and my friend Jose. And from there, the owners just really loved us because we were able to bring a good crowd. And they're like, you know what, we're actually looking for resident DJs now that we're opening back up. Like, would you guys be interested in taking on some nights? And so we were like, yeah, like we'd love to do that. So we went back to Kips and told the owner, like, hey, we're gonna start DJing over here on, on the days that you don't hire us. And he's like, nope, you can't do that. He's like, you have to choose whether you want to be here with us or with the competition, which
Mm-hmm.
from a business perspective made sense. But from a DJ perspective, you're kind of like, why can't I do both? Like
Yeah.
the more the merrier. And so um, we ended up leaving to Pappy's because Pappy's was offering us Thursdays, Fridays, Saturdays, and some Sundays
Oh
for
damn.
like huge pay compared to what Kips was giving us just on Tuesday. And then actually ended up leading to some like falling out with the owner. That was like my very first experience of like a falling out with like some kind of ownership. But then because of that, I ended up really growing with the ownership over at Pappy's, which ends up being the same ownership as Cornerstone, which is another venue in Berkeley that's really popular. And so since through that relationship, I've been able to really keep um like a really good network in Berkeley. And like anytime I want to do an event in Berkeley, like I have spaces that I can do that in. But yeah, so pretty much at Pappy's, when we transitioned over to be the residents there, the owners didn't really know much about nightlife. So it was kind of just on us to really develop the nights. And at first, me and my friend Jose were taking each night. We were just pocketing the money. We're just like, let's just, we're college students. Let's just make as much money as we can from this residency. But then eventually got really repetitive and boring, like just DJing the same weekends, like same thing.
Yeah.
And then I was like, I was really starting to get really ingrained into the culture, and I wanted to learn about DJs and other DJs in the Bay Area because I at this point I had just done it just to kind of do it. Like I never was really interested in the industry itself. Um, it wasn't until I hopped on Instagram and really started doing a deep dive into the art of DJing and the culture of DJing and tapping in with other DJs around the Bay that I just like absolutely fell in love. And from there, it just kept skyrocketing. Like I ended up connecting with DJ Nate Rios from San Jose. At the time, he had a residency at Rosie's, and he's like, "Hey man, like, how about you bring me out to Pappy's, and I'll bring you out to Rosie's, and we can swap gigs." And to me, like, I had never even thought about that, like the idea of swapping gigs,
Right.
and that opened so many doors for me as well. Because then I started swapping gigs with other DJs who were in other venues, and that's really what allowed me to start getting out. So I was no longer just stuck in Berkeley. I was now able to travel to other venues because I had this venue I could trade gigs with. So I feel like I kind of got lucky pretty early because a lot of DJs don't, end up having that responsibility so early on. And for me, it really helped me like build my current network that I have now and, build the relationships that I have now. Cause for me, I see it when I tell everyone I meet in the industry is like, I don't want this to be just transactional. Like I actually want to build a solid friendships with you. And like, cause I'm in this industry for the long run. And so I don't want to just come to you when I need something from you. Like I actually want to, catch up and like, really talk things out. And so I'm always trying my best to always just keep fulfilling my relationships with everyone because that's really what it comes down to. A lot of the greatest opportunities I've received and that other people have received that I know are just through who you know.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it always makes sense to think about things from the long term. So
Yeah.
if you were to if there's any DJs out there who are trying to like lock in their first residency, if you were to try to summarize kind of your key learnings, and not
Yeah.
only have a residency, but like go through the process of being someone who books and like maintaining a good relationship and kind of
Mhm.
building an event, building something at a bar. If you were to
Yeah.
try to summarize that into like a few sentences for DJs trying to pick up their first one, what would you say?
I would say my biggest thing is just relationships, is like networking. So try and scope out what are some of the venues that you'd like to have a residency at. Like identify like, the kind of venue that you ideally would feel comfortable working in consistently. And then just go and try to make friends with the security guards, with the bartenders, with the owners, as many people as you can, because those are at the end of the day the people that are going to end up recommending you. And once you start working with them, building those working, relationships and friendships. So I would say no matter what your goal is, no matter if you already have a residency and you're not building those relationships, or if you don't have one and you want to start building those, I think that's super, super key no matter where you are, is just really making sure you're super tight with everyone that you're working with, and start to build those relationships if you don't have them already, because you never know where they can lead you. Even if you end up putting all this work into one venue but it doesn't end up working out there, one of those employees might end up leaving to another place and then they might recommend you there. So you really never know.
100%.
Mhm.
Yeah, making friends with the staff is always a good idea because you never,
Yeah.
they're always like, if they don't like working with you, then they're going to talk about you in a bad way.
Yeah.
And you never want that. You always want to be the
Yeah.
person that they want to, that they're excited to, that's DJing for that night.
Yeah, and honestly, it's such a big thing too. Like I've, as of most recently too, been hearing just, unfortunately, like some DJs haven't been cutting it like at some venues, and like people tell me like, yo, like this DJ, like the staff was just not really happy with them, and like sometimes it's hard as a DJ, to kind of be put in that position where like you're like, I know some DJs who, like, again, treat their residencies very transactional. They just show up, they DJ, and then they leave. But then a guest DJ comes in, is like super respectful to the staff and everyone. Like they're gonna look at them very differently, and that's when like people end up swooping on your position because
Right.
you're not like
Yeah.
maximizing it.
Yeah. Have you ever had to like navigate a conversation where someone that you brought in like either didn't cut it or was like disrespectful or like maybe got too drunk? Like, how do
Mhm.
you manage those kind of conversations?
Yeah, as of recent, I haven't, just because I haven't had, again, like a position to book, which actually there's something coming very soon, which I'm excited about, which I can talk to. But back when I was at Pappy's, and even when I was at Cornerstone for a bit, Cornerstone, we were doing some club nights. There was a few DJs that, for multiple reasons I had to talk to them, whether they, their night got pretty crazy, like maybe one of the groups of people that they brought, or like they were just, saying some things that weren't okay on the microphone, or like um maybe even just not understanding like sound levels correctly. There's been times where I've booked DJs who like completely were blasting and like redlining the speakers, and you could clearly hear it, like things
Right.
like that. So there's always difficult conversations to have, especially when they're your friends. You got to be like, hey man, like, like here's what I was told. Like, because sometimes I wasn't even there, so this is something I would hear from other people. I think that made it easier sometimes when they be like, hey, it's not coming from me, it's coming from
Yeah.
the staff, but especially in days where I was there, like it's hard to have those conversations, but I think it really comes down to how the person receives it. If the person's open to constructive criticism or like even just feedback, I think it's always an easier conversation compared to when folks are like easily defensive. Um, I think it all depends. Like I'm always a type where if I notice something and I know that I can help someone, I want to help them, but I don't want to immediately intrude. I don't want to just come off right at the bat and be like, hey, you should fix this. Like I'm always trying to like lead into it, like, hey, like would you be open to some feedback, like again, because I feel like it's a community thing, we got to help each other out.
Right. For sure. So you
Mm.
said touched on Cornerstone. Why don't we talk about that
Yeah.
next? So I think that's your second residency, right? How did you go from Pappy's to then getting the second one?
Yeah, so like I mentioned, the Pappies is the same ownership as Cornerstone. So once those owners kind of let Pappies die out due to the pandemic, they switched their full attention on Cornerstone. And then that's when they're like, hey, how about you come down here and we build up another club scenario down here. And this is when things were just reopening from the pandemic. And so we were able to kind of get a really good crowd of people who were wanting to start to come out from the pandemic and have fun. But there wasn't a lot of spaces in the Bay Area that allowed for there to be, events happening. So we kind
Right.
of took advantage of that, and like we're one of the first places to kind of reopen in the midst of the pandemic, and like we try to do it as safely as possible and all that. And um, it was honestly like for me helped get a lot of attention on myself because again we were like the only place open and like in the East Bay that was like publicly like doing something, and so a lot of DJs were starting to contact me like, hey, like I'd love to come through, like, and so a bunch of DJs kept coming to visit, some DJs that I had never met before, because when you're actively DJing and you're always booked, you're like, you can never go out on a Saturday night
Yeah.
to visit DJ
It's hard to.
homie.
Yeah.
Yeah, but at this point, almost no DJ was booked because no venue was open. So Cornerstone was just the only thing that was available. So I'd have tons of DJs that are usually booked would come check out Cornerstone. And then from there, I started building more relationships. So that was super dope because I got to meet a lot of guys that I've always wanted to meet, but had only connected with virtually.
Right. Right.
Um, and so from there, we ended up building that up for quite some time until eventually, once things were kind of full blast, like open again, then the owners realized like it was just too much to have also a club night because the Cornerstone space isn't built as a club. It's more like a bar. Like, I don't know if you've been to Cornerstone, but half of the venue is actual concert venue. And then the other
Mm-hmm.
half is like a bar restaurant. And so we were doing the club night in that bar restaurant area.
Gotcha.
But now they have concerts like every day. So it's pretty hectic to be having a concert plus a nightclub happening at the same time. Like it's just a staffing nightmare. So they're just keeping it to just the concerts. And then the other side is just like a bar kind of chill area.
Got
Um,
it. Got
and
it.
so I still kind of support here and there where they have like corporate events. Like they have a lot of corporate, like especially folks from like UC Berkeley or like nearby companies that host their parties there. So they'll ask me for like a recommendation here and there for a DJ, and I'll like shoot some homie over that has experience in that realm. But it's not an active like thing anymore like it was back then. But that again, that allowed me to meet a lot of great people and keep expanding my network.
Got it. When you were building it, did you have any particular type of format, or how do you think about building a like type of night for the particular space
Hmm.
in regards to like either like a music format or a crowd that you're trying to attract, things like that?
Yeah, so I know the owners specifically like um had like a vibe they were kind of going for. So I kind of like try to please to that, but also I would say just I was trying to find the guys who are the most open format because the thing about Pappy's and Cornerstone is that being in Berkeley, you get a lot of people from everywhere depending on the night. So you get either some college students or sometimes there'll be no college students at all, but like random people from nearby cities. And so I wanted to make sure there was always a DJ who could read the crowd well and played what was needed at that time. Um, but I would say the big like overall like the overarching theme was like kind of like sorority vibes because obviously you're in a college town, so like you're gonna expect a lot of like like a lot of the throwback pop, stuff like a lot of like Queen, like stuff like that, like
Mm-hmm.
the Killers, Mr. Brightside,
Yeah.
like a DJ that understands that realm of music, but could also dig into the hip hop pretty easily. And then obviously with the Latin wave coming up, like can also throw in a few Latin tracks here and there because we have a lot of foreign exchange students from like Spain and like Brazil and Argentina. So like it was always key to have that kind of music in your back pocket.
Right.
So
Right.
that's honestly what really allowed me to do a lot of great research on the industry in the Bay because I started meeting a bunch of dope open format DJs. Um, and then if we had like specialized events, then I would look a little more like that's how I met like one of my current mentors right now, DJ Frisco Eddie. He's someone who's like to me, grew up looking like I looked up to him as like a legend in the Bay and never thought I could have access to him. But then for Cinco de Mayo, we needed like a really dope Latin DJ, and I was like, let me reach out to him. And at the time, again, things were just picking up. Like he didn't really, him and any other Latin DJs didn't have bookings. So for him to take this and like, like, that kind of really catapulted our relationship because now like we're still like really great friends up until now. So again, I feel it all just comes back down to that.
Relationships, for
Yeah.
sure. Nice. Well, the next topic we had kind of talking about chatting before is health, and so I just wanted to touch on
Mhm.
that and kind of allow you to explain what took place and how you approach, because sometimes DJing the lifestyle is not always in line with the best health lifestyle.
Yeah.
As I know I struggle with that. Um, and so just curious how you manage trying to optimize for both.
Yeah. Yeah, man. So pretty much, I guess what happened and what I'm doing now is just again, like you said, being in nightlife, you're always just constantly like, I mean, me, I guess, because I was not used to the lifestyle, I kind of jumped into it without preparation of just like traveling and like being up so late on the weekends, and like I wasn't meal prepping or anything. So I was just like, I would get out of the nightclub at like 2, 3 a.m., then would go eat like fast food, and then would just go to sleep super late, wake up super late. Like just my sleep schedule was super off. Like my dieting was super off, and just always eating super unhealthy, like hot dogs straight off the cart, off the vendors, like outside the clubs, or like Jack in the Box or Denny's super late. And it was a really consistent thing where like I was just always eating junk, because of that. And so that paired with like not doing any exercise, like it just like ended up piling up on top of each other. And so I ended up developing pancreatitis, which was essentially like my family already has a history of like diabetes and stuff like that. So like my pancreas is already more susceptible for like any kind of condition. So essentially I was just taking in so much sugar and so much fat into my body that my pancreas like shut down. And I ended up going to the hospital for the first time, like for a pretty severe thing. And then when my pancreatitis means that your pancreas gets inflamed. So pretty much it's like it blew up, and then as it was released, as it was getting better, it released a bunch of like bacteria, like liquid into my like whole internal system,
Mhm.
and I developed like micro cysts essentially that were all like spread throughout my stomach, and they were just super painful because like I couldn't even like I couldn't lay down, I couldn't even sit down. Like it was just the most uncomfortable experience ever. And so I ended up going to the hospital. I was there for like 2 or 3 weeks while they were trying to extract those from inside of me. And then there was one cyst that was left that they let me leave the hospital. I was back home already, and I was with Mike Cool, DJ Mike Cool, and his girlfriend. We had went to go see a friend. His father had passed away, and so we were coming back from the funeral, and we got rear-ended by a police officer on the freeway. Like he was off duty, but he just like straight rammed into the back of our car, and like we swerved like 4 lanes into the furthest lane.
Mhm.
And it was a pretty hard impact. Like he was coming at us pretty hard. And so that ended up, the last remaining cyst that I had ended up bursting and released more bacteria into my stomach. And then that's like the second time around, which all happened within a matter of like a month of each other. So I ended up back in the hospital again. Like pretty much the bacteria was consuming me from the inside. So I had to take a bunch of antibiotics, there's all this stuff. And so I ended up losing like a bunch of weight. And like now, now that I've been doing better, like I still have a small cyst on my left side that I'm kind of just like gotta keep an eye out and just kind of keep eating healthier and stuff. But it's definitely been a difficult journey, just kind of realizing how my unhealthy lifestyle kind of led to all of that. So
For sure.
now I've been trying to just be better about what I'm taking in, and what I'm how much exercise I'm getting on a daily basis. Because before I would do no exercise. So now every morning I've been trying to challenge myself to go out for a walk at least. I've been trying to just eat healthier at home. I'm trying not to eat out at all. So like maybe on like on a weekend or something, but like if it's during the week, I'm trying to just buy groceries and just buy the healthiest options possible. And so I'm really just trying to adapt to different lifestyle changes, because I think like I said, I want to do this for the rest of my life. And I don't want to like get my journey get cut short because I'm not taking care of myself.
Right. Yeah, I feel you. Health is wealth, as they say. Definitely got
Yeah.
to focus on it if you want to do this lifestyle for the long term.
Yeah, exactly.
So I want to circle back to. I don't know if we actually touched on the rebrand to Baywav, but I think
Hmm.
that happened during the pandemic. So can you just talk about how you went from like I think DJ Rebrand to Baywav, and what was like the kind of strategy behind that, and what was the implementation like?
Yeah, so I always went by DJ Jabron, and I've always been a fan of like clean handles, like just like no underscores, no like no none of that. But so was always trying to come up with the cleanest handle. And so my name Jabron's pretty popular, like it's a popular name, common name. So I ended up adding a W in the middle, so it was like Gibran, and that allowed me to unlock like pretty much all the handles that I wanted. So I had the Twitter handle, the Instagram handle, TikTok handle, and I always just thought, it's my name, like I'm gonna just roll with my name, like do whatever. But then at the time, it's like when like Marshmallow was really blowing up,
Mm-hmm.
I was like, it's crazy how like Marshmallow used to go by .com, and like, he was he big. He had some bookings. He did festivals and everything, but it wasn't until he rebranded to Marshmallow that he just like completely took off, And I just was looking at other people in the space who like didn't go by their real name and like had like aliases and stuff. And before, I always thought that was kind of, I thought that was kind of corny. I'm like, you should just use your real name. Like, why can't I just be DJ Jabron, Huerta? But then I was just start thinking about it, and I was like, I kind of want something that when people see my name, they're reminded of the Bay Area, and like they immediately think music. I'm like, a lot of people are actually having trouble pronouncing my name. So a lot of people who are meeting me online who had just followed me, they
Right.
didn't know my name was pronounced Jabron. So they'd see me on the street and they'd be like, oh, it's Gibron, or it's like Guybron. And I'm like, no, like
You're
it's
like,
not.
no, dude.
Yeah, and so like I was getting a lot of people mispronouncing my name, and it kind of frustrated me in a way. So I think that's probably the biggest reason why I ended up switching it, because it was just frustrating me that nobody could pronounce my name.
Right.
And I was like, let me come up with something that people can pronounce. And so I was just brainstorming, honestly. Like I was like, what can I? Again, I know I wanted to pay homage to the Bay Area and something that was related to music. So one day it just happened. I was just thinking about the Bay Area. So, Bay, that's where the Bay comes from. And then Wave, because of Wave files, like MP3 is in Wave files. And
Right. Right.
I just put it together and I'm like, yo, this is fire. Like this actually like really works. And so I went on Instagram. The handle was the available. I bought the domain like right after baywave.com, and then started locking in everything else that I could on social media. And then it just grew. It just ended up growing. So I ended up announcing the rebrand. Um, it was funny because originally I had launched it as a company that I wanted to start. Like I had this idea for like I wanted to have my own DJ agency, and originally my DJ agency was called Baywav. So some of
Mm,
my close friends already knew about the name Baywav, but they knew of it as a company. So when I
right.
switched it to my DJ name, they were like, why are you calling yourself a company name? Like it doesn't really sound. A lot of people didn't believe in the name. Like literally only one person that I told about the rebrand was like, I was like, that's not gonna work. Like that's like no one's gonna call you Baywave. Like, it's, and then it's fast forward to now, like there's people that don't even know my real name and now they just call me Baywave. So it's kind of crazy how that evolved from like people like really not believing in it to now like it ended up taking on a journey on its own.
Yeah.
So
Sometimes you just gotta trust your gut. If
yeah,
something feels right, then you just gotta go with it.
yeah,
That's
exactly.
dope. So in terms of like the logistics, you said you bought a website, did the like social handles. Do you have a website now? What do you put on there? Like, what would you say is
Yeah.
your like? Do you have a online strategy?
So right now I'm currently I'm rebuilding all of that as I'm coming back to the scene. So I used to do everything myself before because I have the skill sets and the knowledge to kind of build my own like digital world with things that I've accumulated in college. But I realized that I'm not the most disciplined and I'm also not the most organized. So I was just listening to a lot of podcasts and like just people like on building like one person businesses and stuff like that. And they're saying like just because you can do everything by yourself doesn't mean you have to do everything by yourself. And I was getting a lot of people that are reaching out to me saying that they wanted to help me out, like wanted to join me in my journey. And so I actually recently ended up bringing up three individuals to join like when I'm calling just like Team Baywave. And so one of them is gonna be like my project manager. So she's helping me to kind of like make sure all my projects are in order. The other person is helping me with audience and like fan like coordination. So helping me build out like my email listserv, my text listserv, making sure that we're getting like good guest list numbers for my events, things like that. And then another person is helping me with like more securing like brand deals and like partnerships and like helping me a little out with like the fashion realm and like making sure like we're getting like sponsorships and things like that. So it's pretty cool because these are things that I've been wanting to do, but like I can't do so much all at once. So I rather like have people that are generally interested in these things and
Right.
support me in those ways. So pretty much right now, everything is kind of starting again. So I do have a website right now. It's just linked to my link tree, which like has a few things on there, like my upcoming shows and some things like that. But I think within the next month is going to be fully fleshed out as something completely different. Like I'm going to be launching my Gumroad site, which pretty much what I want to do on there is start providing tools and resources for DJs in just multiple spaces, like anywhere from like support with bookings to like how you can build a better digital brand, like, online, how you can monetize yourself online. Just like kind of all the questions that I get in my DMs from DJs, like creating them as like one sheeters or like 5-page PDFs, and like really taking the time to develop something really cohesive and valuable, and then like
Right.
starting to monetize those for like maybe like $5 a piece, like something that could really be helpful for DJs, but could also support me in my endeavors. um
Nice.
that's kind of what I'm working on right now, and which gets me really excited to see what you're cooking up, because I know you've had some really great resources and guides in the past before. So um,
Yeah,
I'm
it kind of
excited.
sounds like we're doing similar things. That's cool to see like people trying to add to the space in that way. And just for people who are unfamiliar with Gumroad, it's basically like it's a way of like selling digital products. So if you
Mhm.
want to check it out, gumroad.com. But yeah, one like transition that I've had is like I used to try to just do it for like try to come up with a flow where like they sign up for my email, excuse me, and then I send them the resources like to a link or
Mhm.
whatever, and just to try to get more followers or subscribers,
Yeah,
which is cool. But you know, to monetize that, you basically have to like have so many followers that then you
yeah,
can get some kind of brand deal or advertising. Where it's like I might not ever achieve that many followers, but
hmm,
if you can like sell a digital product for like the cost of a beer, you know, like
yeah,
buying me a beer or something. That's how I kind of phrasing it. Then that's actually potentially like real revenue that you can have now, and you can
yeah,
try to convert those people, and then like you'll get better signal where it's like you can actually see, okay, is this product actually valuable? People will hit you up and be like, hey, this is really helpful, or like maybe some people won't think it's valuable, and then you can figure out,
mhm,
okay, how can I improve this? So I think that's really cool, and I think that's a cool like trend I'd like to see of like if
yeah.
DJ has something to teach, I think it's okay to charge for certain products like that. And so it's cool to
Yeah,
hear that
and
you're
that's the
doing
main thing too, is making sure it's valuable. Like if people see value in it, then like you push it regardless, no matter what, because you never know like who's willing to put money forth for that. And yeah, I think you're right. Like I think especially if you're able to like, if you have a winning product that people are willing to drop money for, and you even spend like, say like 20% of your return on ads, then
that.
like
Mm-hmm.
you're gonna keep generating leads, because then if you keep running ads and you keep giving Instagram money, they're gonna keep iterating the algorithm and keep like for me, like I had this post that I created about like last month about like DJ bookings, and like how much DJs can be getting paid. So I ended up posting that on my feed, and just off natural organic um just off like no
Oh
ads
yeah,
whatsoever,
I
it
remember that
ended up
one.
doing pretty well. Like I think I got like, I don't know, I got a lot of traction, and I knew that it was doing well because the shares were high and the saves were high, which that typically notifies you that it's like something valuable to people. So I was like, you know what? Let me throw some money into this, and so I think I ended up throwing in like $100 over like a span of a week, something super simple, and like now it's almost like a 2,000 likes, and from there it got generated a bunch of leads. Like people started messaging me, like they were asking me for one-on-one coaching, like stuff like that. I was like, oh
Oh
shit,
damn,
like that's crazy. Like I
that's
literally
cool.
only invested like $100, and through that I could
Right.
easily get back on one. So like that's what I'm trying to build now, because I see the potential there. And
Mm-hmm.
so I would say my biggest problem right now is, yeah, the reason I never commit to one style of content is because a lot of my followers right now are like day-to-day people, like people that I have from high school, like people who met me at the club and like follow me for DJ content. But also there's all the DJs that come to me for kind of value and like want that kind of like DJ content that's like very technical. But then I feel like I'm gonna lose the average person who doesn't care about that kind of stuff. Like did you want me to blend like a Bad Bunny song or something? So that's kind of my dilemma right now, and why I've been leading to maybe potentially starting like an offset brand of Baywav, which is like just specifically for my I don't even know what to call it, just like my like expertise, knowledge, or just like DJ
Right.
like coaching or stuff like that. Just because I feel like I don't want to start bombarding my feed with a bunch of um like technical language and then losing
Yeah.
potential folks that want to come out to my event. So that's kind of been my hard line right now, which is what I've been struggling with.
Yeah, I feel you on that. It's kind of like understanding what your channel mix is and like understanding which types of content can go into which channel. My
Yeah,
problem is that I'm super lazy and like the idea of having to do multiple channels just really scares me.
yeah,
Um, but I totally feel you. I feel like on Twitter I'm trying to do a certain thing because I also have interests outside of DJing, and so
yeah,
I'm like, do I just do everything on every platform, or do I try to just do certain things? Maybe like my tech writing on Twitter, and then kind of like my business of DJing content on Instagram. But yeah, the saves and the shares are always my favorite metric, especially the saves for like my
yeah,
taxes of DJing stuff because it just
yeah,
shows
yeah.
that people actually found value in it. So
Yeah, no, I
speaking of,
mean that specifically is huge already. Like it's like it literally applies to almost any living DJ on the planet. So
right.
like your product really has potential, and I feel like if you just keep pushing the ads on it, I'm sure you're gonna keep generating leads.
So let's spend some time here a little bit more. So I noticed that you have different types of content where you do like kind of
Mhm,
like the gifs or like the almost like real TikTok style video. Do you use what platforms do you use? And then how do you because I'm like really bad at the real type content
mhm.
of like creating it and being consistent with it.
Yeah.
So yeah, the question there, what platforms do you use? And then how do you go about creating the content on each one?
Yeah, so up until now, I've been pretty much experimenting with just different like real like type content, like bingeable content. Like if you go through my reels, none of it is consistent. Like each video has been like a different type of video. And so I guess from start to beginning, what I do is I'm always saving content that I watch on TikTok and I watch on Instagram.
Mm-hmm.
I'm always just saving as many videos as I can that inspire me and that I want to kind of replicate in the future. So then from there, I gotta go back and I look at what video do I want to kind of mimic. Like I don't want to copy verbatim, but what kind of video inspires me that I feel like will be a good fit for my own page. So I kind of go through there. I find a post, and then I take it. I'm like, okay, how can I replicate this video in my own style? Like
Right.
maybe it could be like a knitting video, but I just like the way the girl had her angle, her camera. Like I like the text that she used, like the premise of it. Like just I know that it has a good hook. So I pretty much just reenact the video in my own way. Um, in terms of like recording, I record everything in app, like with my phone.
Mm-hmm.
I do have a DSLR that I want to start using more, but for now, like I kind of just like the practicality of having the iPhone and just like wanting to show folks that you can create good content with just an iPhone.
Right.
So I have my specific settings that I use on my iPhone. Like I always shoot at 24 frames per second. That's just like my go-to, like which I know a lot of people who don't even know you can switch your phone to 24 frames. So that right off the bat makes people look at my content very differently because they're like, yo, like I've never seen an iPhone shoot like that. And it's like
Mm-hmm.
because people don't have the don't a lot of people don't even care about touching the settings, on the camera app.
Right.
Um
Guilty.
yeah, so
Learn something new.
so once I record on cinematic is probably the key thing too. That cinematic mode on the iPhone 14 just really increases the quality dramatically. And then using 24 frames just makes the video look cinematic right off the bat. But in terms of editing, I currently use CapCut. I use CapCut both on my phone and on my laptop, but I do prefer the laptop version more because you can download LUTs from other creators. So I've kind of
Mm.
been doing that because right now when you edit a video on your phone, you can add a filter, but the filter will also apply like over your face. So your face might look super orange, but the background looks like great. So
Right.
with CapCut on desktop, you can download a LUT, so you can make like the background turn orange, but your face stays completely fine. So there's like an option that
Okay.
says it's like something just like face recognition essentially. So
Right.
that's
Right.
been really helpful because it allows you to like your videos just step up the quality much. Like it makes it look more professionally, made. And then CapCut, honestly, like I know it started off as like a joke app. Like I used to always use Final Cut Pro or like Adobe Premiere, but CapCut has just like they're really taking it to the next level and they're really like creating a bunch of really dope templates where now even like TikTok will push your video even more if you use CapCut. So if you export a video within CapCut, you can choose post to TikTok. And I've been seeing a lot of creators saying that if you use that method, if you use one of CapCut's built-in templates, like
Right.
your video will automatically go viral just because they want people to use, like I think TikTok bought CapCut or something like that. So um
Interesting. Okay. Yeah, I'll link to that in the show notes.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, it's one thing I've been thinking about of like as I create these DJ products, like what do I want like the face of it to be on like a reel so
Mhm.
you can go forward? Because right now I just do like a taxes for DJs like words,
Yeah.
but I feel like there could be more dynamic things. So as you're thinking about your products, I'm sure that you'll come across that and experiment. So excited to see how that goes for you.
Yeah, man. I mean, right now, I would say, like, just to summarize, out of all my research that I've done, I realize it's just key to just have one good series for each of the things you want to do. So I'm gonna have one good educational series, which that's gonna be like me kind of more like spitting education, for DJs and having that be consistent. Um, and then I'm gonna have one good entertainment series. So one that's like consumable content for like people that are into music. And then I was gonna have one motivational one. So those are my three series that I'm looking to build, and just making those as similar as possible so that every time I post one, people recognize the style of video and they
Got
would
it.
want to follow me to come back. And so kind of like a part one, part two, part three series. Um, and so that's what I'm focusing on right now is developing the concept for each of those three, and then just completely riding with those to the end of the journey. Because I've been noticing a lot of DJs that have been growing like exponentially on social media recently have because they stuck with one theme and they're
Right.
kind of known for that theme. But that doesn't mean you have to do it forever, but at least just until you grow to a point where you're comfortable.
Yeah, for sure. Definitely
Mhm.
helps sometimes to find a niche and kind of like exploit that niche and grow
Yeah.
into it. Cool, man. Well, before we go into the last part, we're talking about like music taste and library organization.
Mhm.
Just wanted to give an opportunity to talk about like what's next for you. What would you say like are your biggest goals this year, and what are you looking to accomplish in anything? I know you got some stuff queued up. I don't know if you can talk about it yet, but just
Mhm.
wanted to open the floor to talk about what's next.
Yeah, man. Right now, my two biggest focuses are, number one is just monetization on social media. I really, really want to build and show others that it's possible to build like a really sustainable income through being a DJ, and just showing people that there's like, being a DJ has been, the definition of it has been changing so much that I kind of want to become the face of like this new generation of DJs and like what it's like to be a DJ and like how to monetize yourself online and everything from YouTube to TikTok to Pinterest, like just like showing people the multiple routes that you can do this as a DJ. Because you see people doing it as like affiliate marketers or like drop shippers, but like I think no one's really showing the possibilities as a DJ. And so that's kind of my goal is like, just using my knowledge to kind of push that. So I think that's my main focus for this year. And then at the same time is like using what other people are creating to kind of push forward. Like I don't want to like, through this, like push what you're working on, with your business of DJing. Cause I feel like it's something so key that like, even if I don't have the time to explain that, I can just, you know, offset everyone to you to learn from you and what you're doing. And same with other DJs that are building other things, like DJs who are creating their own like courses for like, technical skills. Like I know I'm not the most technical DJ, so I'm not gonna try to sit there and explain DJs like how to scratch when I have a friend who could do that. Like same thing with you. Like I may not understand the taxes side of DJing so well, so I can offset that to you and just kind of being a resource for people to kind of like when they need information. And then the second thing is just bookings. Like I really want to ramp up my booking strategy this year. Before, I was pretty like blessed that I was always getting a lot of opportunities, like people always contacting me. And so I was able to build kind of like a good sheet, like a venue sheet from that I can kind of reach out to when I'm looking for new venues. But this time I want to start traveling a little more like outside of California. And so now that I have this my project manager is helping me to reach out. We're like drafting up email templates and like trying to really reach out to venues in other states and see if I can start like traveling a little more consistently. So I think those are my two main goals: is just becoming a bigger figure online for DJs, and then growing my mark outside of the Bay Area. I would say are my two main pieces that I'm really focusing on right now.
Nice, man. That's dope.
Mhm.
I actually have an idea around I don't know if it's like call it like gig surfing, but it's like kind of like trying to create a
Mhm,
community of DJs where we talk about stuff like business of DJing,
mhm,
but also like kind of have different like area or location or city representatives. And then
mhm.
if you're trying to travel somewhere new and maybe you have a gig somewhere, in Berkeley or something, you could be like, hey, someone's traveling this area. I got you on a gig if you're coming through
Yeah,
some of your SoundCloud or whatever. Just like make sure the person's cool or whatever. And then if
yeah,
you're going somewhere else, you could hit up the place for that city as well and be like, hey man, I'm coming out to this city. Anybody got any things I could hop on for? So maybe I'll hit you up after that. We'll talk through that. But I would love to try to create a system where DJs could like help each other out and be able to
mhm,
travel um, in situations where they wouldn't
yeah.
otherwise be normally able to.
Yeah, no, definitely. I think I mean, that's a super smart strategy. Like that's kind of like the origins of scam artists. Like when scam artists was first coming up, it's like just connecting DJs, big DJs from each city that had a lot of opportunities and then just swapping them, So like, you know, now that you're in New York, like you're building your network out there, like, and then you meet some venues so that when you want to come to the Bay, I can lock you in here in the Bay. You lock, folks out in New York, and it's definitely a great concept. I think it's just now like being strategic with like who you're reaching out to and like and all
Right.
that. So, yeah, no, I'd love to talk about that for sure.
All right, dope, man. Well, appreciate your time. Let's close it out here with little just like
Yeah.
DJ talk. So I want to talk about music taste first. So how would you describe your DJ style? And then secondly, what do you listen to when you're not DJing or when no one else is listening?
Yeah. So I would say my DJ style is very, I mean, in basic terms, open format. Pretty much I started off with hip hop, and then as I got into college, I got really exposed to like the pop stuff that everyone wants to listen to. But then my roots are I'm Latino, so I understand Latin music really well.
Right.
So overall, I feel like any room that you put me in, like I can pretty much read the crowd and drive them through whatever journey they need to be taken on. So yeah, I would say just super open format. Um, and then in terms of what I listen to on my own time, I'm a sucker for Drake. I'm a big Drake fan. I think people know that I'm a big Drake fan, and so right now, like my Spotify is just Drake and Bad Bunny. It's pretty basic to be honest. I'm my music style is like even if I'm on a if I want to listen to something random like that's not Drake and Bad Bunny, I'll just play the top 40 hits, like Spotify top 40, just because I feel like I want to know what people are listening to and just always being
Right,
up
right.
to music. And I do like I have some DJ friends who are super into like indie stuff or like, but yeah, I've just never gotten into that. I'm the epitome of like mainstream radio guy. Like
It's all good, man. You know what you like.
yeah.
Um, cool. And then lastly, I love talking about this
Mm,
topic of like library organization. I feel like I'm on this earth to create a product that just makes the DJ ecosystem as efficient as possible.
yeah.
Because it just sometimes it just bothers me what we have to go through to like get a song from like listening to
Yeah.
playing. But just generally, how do you organize? What's like your process from like listening to playing in Serato? I'm guessing you use Serato.
Yeah. So right now I have my go-to record pools that I just for me, I my most recent approach has been to only download music that people like. My goal is like if I walk into any nightclub, 90% of the people in the room have to know what I'm playing. Like even if it's a remix, like it has to be a decently like not too changed up remix because people a lot of times people don't really enjoy remixes as much as us DJs want them to.
Right.
So my goal is again just go on Spotify, go through the top 40, see what people are listening to, and then finding my favorite remix of that song online or like my best like edit version of it. And that's helped me a lot with like cluttering my Serato because I used to just download packs and packs of music with just like you never know when you'll need it. But it's like I realized I was always playing the same music. So
Right.
I keep it very safe. Like if say Drake drops a new song
Mm-hmm.
tomorrow, I'll go probably in the next week and find go through my different record pools and find my favorite version of that song, like my favorite edit, like maybe it's like a slam edit or some kind of slight redrum or something like, and then I'll just keep that version forever and I'll play that version forever until like I maybe find a better one. But yeah, I really started reducing the amount of music that I download. And then the way that I organize it is I download everything into genres when I down. So I have the option in Safari, like it asks you every time what folder you want to put the song in.
Mm-hmm.
So anytime I download a new song, I select the folder, the genre that I want it to go in, and then it
Okay.
just downloads straight into that genre. So then it always scares everyone when I do this, but when I open Serato, all my crates are just like my genres that are like dragged from my desktop. So I just delete all of them. I delete all my crates, and then I re-drag like the new songs that I've downloaded, like the new crates, and pretty much my music is organized by genre. And then how I visualize like my club sets is I have a folder for my smart crates.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's, so I love using smart crates because I feel like it does all the work for you. So then what I do is I go through all my newest hip hop tracks, and then I have certain keywords that then filters into the smart crates. So like if it's a new like Coil Ray song or like Ice Spice, I'll tag it as hip hop. In the comment section, I'll tag it as like club, like nightclub.
Comments
And
in the Serato.
in the Serato, yeah, in the
Okay.
Serato panels, I use the label column as like my like what late I when I'm labeling it like.
Yeah.
Mhm. So I'll put like nightclub, and then I'll put like twerk or like ratchet or like Bay Area or just like certain keywords.
Right.
And then from there I have a smart crate that reads information. So it'll just automatically pull that song that I just downloaded into that smart crate.
Do you have to
And
do
so
it one
that's
by one though, or can you like
one by
let's
one,
say,
yeah.
see, this is my biggest problem is like I wish you could like highlight multiple songs and then like add a tag, but instead of it like overwriting all your previous tags, you
Mm.
could just like add the tag to whatever was already listed before. But if you
Oh
have
yeah.
like multiple songs and like this one has one tag, this one has two, you highlight both and then add a new tag, it's gonna like overwrite both of
Yeah.
those.
No,
So I
I
feel like
definitely think that Serato needs to have way more like I think especially for DJs that like doing a lot or like to really customize their things, I think they
yeah.
they do need some work to do. Like it pisses me off that you can't select multiple crates on the left. Like you can't just drag like three of them and
Oh
then
yeah.
drag like that should be such a basic thing you should be able to do, but
So like if
you
you're doing
can't.
like a new venue and then you have to like add a bunch or like new gig, and let's say you want to have like edits, hip hop, house, be
Yeah.
like bop, 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 and then like what
Yeah,
my new
you have to do
strategy,
it one by one.
the new strategy is to like drag like crate four into crate
Mhm.
one, three into one, two into one, and then you can
Mhm.
just drag this crate one to where you actually want it to be. Like
Oh
I use
yeah.
like a year folder, and then
Yeah.
from there you can like you know put it back to the
Yeah,
organization
yeah, that's
structure.
smart.
But it's like
Yeah.
it's not a perfect tag.
Yeah. That's funny.
Anyways,
Yeah, I mean, I think every DJ has their own method, and
yeah,
like I don't think I've ever spoken to two DJs that had the same organization method. Like everyone
no,
just has their own way of doing it,
right,
and if it works for you, it works for you. Like sometimes I'll be looking at DJs who their library looks so messy. I'm like, how do you even like? But or it's like funny, like my friend Frisco Eddie, his library to me looks crazy. Like it just looks absolutely hectic, but he's one of the most organized people that I know. Like you can just you ask him for a song and he'll find it right off the bat, or like he'll know like what folders to use in what venues. Like whereas to me, it looks like a shit show. Like for me, I'm a big I hate having songs that have like all caps or like a bunch of underscores or like
yeah,
random
yeah,
like so I always rename all my music. So if you look at my Serato, everything's pretty much renamed so it looks the same. Whereas like his will have like all caps, like letters and like colors, and I was like, I don't know how you can do that. It's distracting for me.
yeah. Our buddy, plural, Joe. It's like a running joke on the team that his library is always just it's crazy to go in there, but it works for him, and he's like the dopest DJ I know. So
Yeah,
whatever he's doing is working.
yeah, exactly.
Um, dope man. Well, once again, Baywav, thank you for coming on the business of DJing. This was an awesome conversation. We'll put all your social stuff in the notes for people to follow you.
Mhm.
We're really excited to see what you've been able to build, and I really loved our like part of the conversation talking about content. And it seems like we're kind of doing similar things in terms of like trying to build tools for
Yeah,
DJs to
man.
help grow. So looking forward to more synergy and more ways we can kind of help each other and point each other in each other's ways in the future.
Yeah, likewise, bro. I'm excited to see what we can both cook together.
All right, bro. Let me turn off the recording here.
Yeah.